Now that we know what holds the aircraft in the air, let's talk about what moves the aircraft. Thrust is a force that moves an aircraft forward through the air. Thrust is generated by an aircraft's engine through a different type of propulsion system. Thrust can be explained by first understanding Isaac Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton's third law of motion can apply to other moving vehicles. Think of how a car moves forward. It moves forward as the tires push backwards on the ground. So how does Newton's third law apply to an aircraft? The engine on the airplane propels the aircraft forward by moving air backwards. This movement of the air backwards is the action, and the reaction is the plane moving forward. Thrust is also a mechanical force, and different aircraft use different engines or propulsion systems to produce thrust. What is propulsion? This just means to push or to drive an object forward. There are 4 different types of propulsion systems that airplanes use: the propeller, the turbine or jet, the ramrod, and the rocket. Our planes here at Lift Academy use propellers to create thrust. Propellers are shaped like small wings or airfoils and are generated by the engine of the aircraft. When the blades turn, they create thrust by biting into the air and forcing it to move backwards. The amount of thrust can be controlled by changing the speed or the pitch of the propellers. A larger aircraft, such as an ERJ-170 flown at our parent airline, Republic Airways, uses a jet engine to produce thrust. The engine draws air in at the front and compresses it. The air is then combined with fuel and ignited. The engine burns this resulting mixture. This combustion greatly increases the volume of gases, which are then exhausted out the rear of the engine. The force of the gases being pushed out of the back thrusts the plane forward. Again, we see Newton's third law of motion. Now that we know what thrust is and how it is created, let's do some activities. For the first activity, you will need a balloon, a straw, and fishing line or string. First, you will need to thread the string through the straw. Then, attach both ends of the string securely to a wall or other stationary object. Blow up your balloon and don't tie the end. Just pinch it tight so air does not come out. Next, tape the balloon to the straw and get ready for takeoff. So what makes the balloon fly forward? The air that is released from the balloon. Air being released from the back end of the balloon is the action. The reaction is the balloon being forced forward by the released air. What does this remind us of? Again, we see Newton's third law: for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. We have one more activity that you can try at home. For this activity, you will need a foam plate, scissors, masking tape, a large paper clip, a rubber band, and a non-bendable straw. Fold back the top 3 centimeters of the straw and insert the rubber band into the fold. Fold the straw over the rubber band and secure the end with masking tape. This creates the launcher for your flyer. Cut a triangle out of the foam plate from the flat, inverted side of the plate. A good size to start with is 13 centimeters by 13 centimeters by 13 centimeters, or an equilateral triangle. Tape the paper clip to the top of the foam wings. Then, tape the wings to the top of the launcher so that it extends slightly over the lip. Next, pull the nose of the flyer all the way to your elbow and let it fly. This activity shows us another example of thrust. By pulling back on the rubber band and letting go, thrust is created to propel the aircraft forward. Thrust is one of the 4 forces that acts on an airplane during flight. Thrust is produced by the engine or propulsion system of the plane and causes the aircraft to move forward. We also know that the engine on the airplane propel the aircraft forward by moving air backwards. This shows us an action and a reaction and helps us understand how Newton's third law plays a role in thrust.